The Greatest Living American story is one that I enjoy telling because I think it's very telling of my skills as an SEO. And what's really great about it is that it's one of the few chances that you get to demonstrate that you are the best at something. Jonah Stein and a bunch of SEOs went on the Stephen Colbert show to talk about how Google bombing works, because the top hit for miserable failure was George W. Bush's White House page, and that was a Google bomb. People had simply linked to it enough times with the word miserable failure to make it the top result for miserable failure. And Jonah asked Colbert, what do you want to be the top hit for? And he said, giant brass balls. Well, that isn't a very challenging term. Nobody really wants to rank for that. So Jonah convinced him to try and rank for Greatest Living American. I had written software that tracked terms that were fast rising in Google that were not terms that were going to be hard to rank for. And so Greatest Living American went by, and I didn't have any context for why people were looking for Greatest Living American. So I wrote a post about why I was the Greatest Living American, thinking nothing of it. Then the story came out and I understood, oh, all these SEOs are trying to be the Greatest Living American. At that point, I was number 2. It was Kurt Vonnegut, and then it was me. And at the time, Kurt was already dead, so he shouldn't have qualified for Greatest Living American. A whole bunch of SEOs worked to either be the Greatest Living American or to help make Stephen Colbert the Greatest Living American. So I looked into what it would take for me to be the Greatest Living American. And by reaching out to my friends, doing the research into how page construction worked, and really looking at how Google works, I was able to construct a page that became the Greatest Living American's top result. I can't think of any other time in my career that I actually got to prove I was the best at something I was working on. And this wasn't something I was doing full-time at the time. I was still working at Microsoft in the IPTV group. This was what I was doing in my spare time. And the idea of being the best at a given thing that was a very challenging new technology and having quantifiable results was something I'm very proud of. I never had designs that I truly am the Greatest Living American. It was just a challenge. And so, it's since fallen off. I'm no longer the Greatest Living American. For a little while, I was number 3 for Great in Bed. A whole bunch of great related stuff that I went through and said, hey, I can be the top ranked for this. I went through and did. But I've never had such ego that I thought, yes, I truly am the Greatest Living American. It was just an engineering challenge and a competition that I was very proud to compete in and very proud to be the leader in for a time.